Wind swept across the Dawson ranch, carrying the scent of lilac blossoms and tension. Inside the grand barn, decorated with ribbons and lanterns, Elara Dawson stood in her wedding gown, silk lace and suffocating expectations. She wasn't marrying for love. She was marrying for her father's debts, or so Clayton Ward kept reminding her. As the bells chimed, her breath tightened. The future she saw was a cage. Before her father could knock on the door, she climbed out the window, tore the bottom of her gown, mounted a stable horse, and rode off into the wild. Behind her, shouts rose and gunmen mounted up. Clayton Ward wasn't the kind of man who accepted no. Elara galloped across valley, heart pounding, dress flying like a torn flag of rebellion. As she pushed the horse faster, she heard the posse catching up. 6 riders, led by Clayton's hired guns. The desert stretched endlessly. Her horse stumbled. She nearly fell. Then, a figure emerged on the ridge ahead. The lone cowboy, tall, dusty, steady as a mountain. Jackson Hale watched the chase with narrowed eyes. He saw a woman fleeing, not a criminal. In an instant, he nudged his horse and descended. Gunshots cracked. Elara screamed. Jackson rode between her and the gunman, firing warning shots with flawless precision. The men backed off, not expecting a skilled cowboy to intervene. Jackson grabbed her reins, turned her horse sharply, and together they fled into the rocky labyrinths of the valley. Jackson dismounted and helped Elara off her horse. Her hands shook. Her dress was dirty and torn. Her eyes held both fear and fury. Jackson didn't ask questions. He could see truth written across her face. She was running from something terrible. He led her deeper into the canyon, where the posse couldn't follow. They're under the shade of a lone juniper tree. For Elara finally caught her breath. Jackson offered water. She accepted with trembling hands. Their eyes met. A silent understanding passed between them. She wasn't safe. He wasn't obligated. But fate had chosen this crossing. As the sun began to set, Elara told her story. Her arranged marriage, Clayton Ward's threats, her father's desperation, her need to choose her own life, even if it meant running for it. Jackson listened quietly. He didn't judge her. He simply nodded, understanding deeper pain than he admitted. He told her Clayton's men would search all night. She needed shelter. He knew a place. They traveled under moonlight to an abandoned miner's cabin, tucked at the base of the Blackthorn Hills. The roof creaked. Dust coated the floor, but it was safe. Jackson lit a lantern. Elara's torn dress shimmered in the glow like a fallen star. He gave her his coat, oversized but warm. The gesture softened her. While she rested, Jackson stood guard outside, watching the darkness, listening for riders. Inside the cabin, Elara looked at the coat draped around her shoulders and wondered why this stranger felt safer than her entire family ever had. By morning, Clayton Ward had brought in the sheriff. Sheriff Milo Crana, man whose badge shone as brightly as his corruption. Wanted posters appeared in town. Elara Dawson, missing, kidnapped. Clayton lied to everyone, claiming she was taken by an outlaw. Now, Jackson Hale, unknowingly, became the target. Elara stared at a poster that Clayton's men pinned to an oak tree. Her heart sank. Jackson was being framed because he saved her. Guilt consumed her. She had brought danger to his life. But he didn't waver. Jackson told her quietly, "You're not going back." And she believed him. With the sheriff hunting them, Jackson and Elara traveled through forests, rivers, and narrow passes. Each mile brought them closer, not just physically, but emotionally. Elara learned Jackson wasn't a drifter by choice. He once loved a woman who died of illness while he struggled to earn money for medicine. Guilt had carved deep lines in him. Elara realized he carried pain behind his calm eyes. Jackson noticed Elara's strength, the quiet fire within her. She was not fragile. She was forged by pressure. Traveling together, they began to depend on each other. She stitched a wound on his forearm. He taught her how to shoot. She cooked with what little they found. He guided her horse across dangerous terrains. The wilderness shaped their bondslow, steady, undeniable. Sheriff Crane found them near Redwater Gorge. Gunfire erupted among the red rocks. Dust clouds rose as horses screamed. Jackson shielded Elara, taking a bullet graze along his ribs. They ran on foot through the gorge's narrow ledges. Jackson, limping, blood-staining his shirt. Elara refused to leave him. She wrapped his wound with torn fabric from her dress and helped him climb. Their hands clasped, determined, trusting. Together, they escaped through a hidden tunnel in the rocks. That night, in the quiet safety of a secluded meadow, Elara finally allowed her heart to feel. She cared for Jackson deeply, more than she expected, more than she feared, and when she looked into his tired eyes, she saw the same truth, reflected back. Jackson knew running forever wasn't an answer. Clayton would hunt Elara until she was caught. The only way to end it was to confront him. Jackson and Elara rode toward the Dawson Ranch at sunrise. Fields stretched golden. Birds soared overhead. The air felt heavy with destiny. Clayton stood waiting, surrounded by hired guns. Sheriff Crane smirked beside him. But Jackson had something they didn't: the truth and Elara's courage. A fierce gunfight erupted across the ranch yard. Jackson fought like a man, with purpose, not to win glory, but to protect the woman he loved. Elara grabbed a fallen revolver and fired warning shots, scattering Clayton's men. Sheriff Crane tried to shoot her, but Jackson intercepted, tackling him to the ground. Elara confronted Clayton. He ranted about ownership, about debts, about control. But Elara stood tall, fearless, her voice steady. She declared that she chose her own life, her own freedom, her own future. Clayton lunged. Jackson stepped in, disarming him in a swift, brutal move. Crane was arrested by arriving townsfolk, who finally saw the truth. Clayton's power crumbled. The wedding, all of it, was over. Elara was free. In the following weeks, Elara rebuilt her life, and Jackson, though wounded, stayed by her side, helping repair broken fences, roofs, and hearts. Love wasn't rushed. It grew like wildflowers after a storm, quietly, beautifully. One evening, as golden light bathed the ranch, Elara placed her hand gently on Jackson's cheek. He leaned into the touch. She whispered that she wanted him to stay, not out of gratitude, but out of love. Jackson kissed her beneath the rising moon, a soft, slow promise of the future. And from that night on, Silverdust Valley knew them, not as fugitives, but as soul-bound partners who found each other in the midst of danger. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more Western stories under the open sky.